Hello and welcome to the podcast. Last night I had a dream. It was kind of weird. It kind of threw me for a loop. I was back in three towns ago that I've lived in now. I lived in Portland, Oregon, and I lived in this subdivision called Forest Heights. And it's kind of its like own little city kind of thing. Like there's a elementary school. There's all sorts of stuff. There's like a little uh, shopping center, notably with the Starbucks there that me and my friends used to all hang out in. But we used to cause all sorts of havoc there. Um, but anyways, I had this dream that one of my really close friends he was either trying to kill me or he was trying to do so. I don't really remember, but I remember the feeling of fear that I had for the situation. But I I ended up getting away from him or running away. I don't really remember, but the reason Portland ties into it is because I ended up back in my old neighborhood in Forest Heights. There was this really long street that as soon as you entered the neighborhood, there was kind of like one main entrance into the neighborhood, and then this really long, like 2 or 3 miles of like downhill, and it all led all the way to the shopping center, and that was kind of the heart of the little subdivision. And if you kept going up, you went back uphill towards the elementary school. Blah blah blah. Anyways, relatively soon after you enter the subdivision, there is apartments on the left side, and that's where I ended up. So I ended up at these apartments over on the left side of this long street back for some reason when I was like 13 living in the subdivision, probably like 12 or 11. And I ended up on the left side of the street, and on the right side of the street in view is my old friend Ronnie McBale, his house. And I didn't see it, but I knew it was over there while I was in the dream. And anyways, I ended up in this apartment complex, and I saw this dude, and I ran up to him, and I just started spilling all sorts of my guts out to him, like, this is what's happening. I'm running away right now. He's chasing me. He's right behind me. I need a car. Can you please take me to the... And for some reason, I was trying to get to that Starbucks. I was trying to get to that shopping center. And I don't know why. I mean, I guess dreams don't really make a lot of sense, do they? But anyways, I was trying to get to this shopping center for some reason, and I ended up finding this guy. I started, oh my gosh, he's chasing me. Something's going wrong. He's coming after me, blah, 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 blah. And this guy, I remember looking at me, and he's not believing me, and he's kind of thinking, oh, this guy's a nut job. And then finally, for some reason, he lets me in his house. And then I was like, can I please use your computer? I need to use your computer. And I started looking for directions. So I used to live there, but for some reason in this neighborhood, all I had to do was follow the street down. But I was looking for directions on how to get there. And I was looking for directions, and I was looking for directions. And then all of a sudden, I stand up, and the guy puts his car keys right in front of me. And I remember being confused and not knowing why. And he said, you can take my car, just leave it in the parking lot when you get there, and leave the keys on the seat. And I remember being like, oh my God, okay, thank you so much. But I still couldn't figure out where the directions were. So I went back on the computer. I knew I had a car now. And I went back on the computer and tried endlessly. I think everybody's had a dream like this where they're trying to run towards something, but they can't seem to get their legs to work, and so they're just kind of stuck moving really, really, really slow and trying to run away from something or run to something. It's kind of how it felt with trying to get these directions. I just couldn't figure it out. I couldn't find the directions. I couldn't figure out how to get there. And so I end up getting in the car, and I end up driving without these directions, but I find my way there. And I find my way to the spot, and that's kind of where, I remember being in the complex, and I was kind of, my friend, like I said, one of my best friends, he was there, and he was looking for me, and I was running from business to business, hiding behind bushes and all this kind of stuff, trying to, like, stay away from him. And that was a dream. I mean, I woke up at that point, and I did one of those kind of falsified waking up, fake myself out. I woke up and then I was like, wait, I need to figure out what happened. So I try not to wake up, and I tried to go back into the dream, but it didn't work. So that's where the dream ended. But I'm trying to figure out what the hell that dream meant. I mean, why was my best friend chasing me? Why was he trying to kill me? And I don't know if he was trying to kill me. And maybe that's one of the things that kind of threw me for a loop even more, is because there was something happening that was so bad that I was running away from him. But I didn't feel fear. I felt panic and I felt an urgency, but I didn't feel fear or terror. Maybe I felt fear but not terror. And it's weird because my whole life I've never really had nightmares. I've never really had too many that I can think of. I had one where I was on this wooden train track cart kind of thing, and I was going downhill and I lost control and I fell off towards trees, and then I woke up as soon as I was about to hit the trees. I had this one reoccurring dream actually when I was, my whole life actually, I think the last time I had it was a year or two ago, but I've had the dream like 4 or 5 times throughout my whole life, and it's like basically I'm in this house that I've never been in before, but it's like an old it's teal everything. It's got those glass blocks for like throughout the house for like dividers between the walls, and I'm going from room to room, and I know there's 2 people in black clothes and black masks, and they are trying to find me, and I'm going from room to room, and I'm hiding under beds, and I'm hiding in closets, and they can't find me. Then I'm going outside and looping around the house, and then every time I end up in the bathroom of the master bedroom, I end up in the bathroom sitting on, with the door locked, sitting on top of the toilet, sitting on the toilet tank, and I have a butcher's knife. I don't know why I'm on the top of the toilet tank. It always has kind of made me laugh. I don't know why I would be there, but anyways, as soon I hear the door start wiggling, and as soon as it starts wiggling, I wake up, and that's happened to me 4 or 5 times. But other than that, and then the wooden cart getting thrown, I've never really had any nightmares. But probably 4 months ago now, I had probably the scariest nightmare I've ever had, and I was in. For first off, which is weirdly enough, I was a little girl. So I wasn't myself. I was a little girl, and I was playing with my babysitter in my room. And then some dark, black, kind of mist thing just started grabbing her, and she looked at me, and she was terrified and started screaming. And then the smoke enveloped her, and she left. And then right as that happened, my what I think was my mother, I never really found that one. It just felt like a motherly instinct from her. And I went, and she came running down the hallway, and she's like, what happened? And then she tells me to stay there because she's going to go try to find the babysitter. So she starts running back. I see her run back down the hallway, take a right, and then I don't see her again. And then I'm sitting there, and I realized, I was like, well, wait, if that smoke got the babysitter, it might get my mom. And so at that point, I raced down the hallway, and I started jumping. I mean, there was like 4 stair sets. And when you're a kid, you still got great knees, and there's 5 stairs in front of you, and you just jump from the top to the bottom, skipping all the stairs. And I did that like 4 times down like 4 smallish stair sets. And I get to the bottom, and there's this long hallway that goes into like a game room downstairs. And I start walking down the hallway, and on my right, I start to see, like, as I'm getting there, I know that there's a couch right on the edge, right on the other side when you get to it's right to the right of that wall. And I don't know how I know that. I just know that. And I start seeing this orange hair. As I get closer and closer, I start seeing this orange hair becoming more and more visible on the right side of that hallway entrance. And I walk past, and and I see that it's my mom, but she has this crazy orange hair, but her hair color was normally brown, or I don't remember what color the hair was, but I remember that she had orange hair now, and that was not her normal color. And I was standing right in front of her, and she had this dead look in her eye, dead eyes, just looking forward, nothing in her face, nothing. I mean, just completely dead emotion. And she was sitting there, and all of a sudden, I'm standing right in front of her now, and I keep saying, "Mom," and then "Mom." I'm asking, basically trying to get her to react or something. And for some reason, I mean, I don't think in my real life I've ever felt terror. True, full-blown, no-joke terror. And I felt it in that dream. I mean, I was frozen with fear. And I remember that vividly so much. And, I was trying to get myself to take a step. As soon as I took my first step towards her, I woke up. And waking up, I've never had this happen, never before, never since. I sat up in bed, and I grabbed the bed sheets and audibly kind of gave out like a, ah! I mean, it literally threw me into consciousness. And I still haven't figured out what that dream is about. But I didn't feel that in last night's dream. I didn't. I felt, like I said, I felt rushed. I felt panic. I felt sense of urgency, fear even, but not terror. Not that debilitating type of terror that comes out of nowhere, it seems like. And yeah. I don't know. I don't know why my best friend would be. I don't know what that dream is trying to tell me. I do think. I mean, it makes you start to think, like, what the hell is up with friendship, anyways? I don't know. I mean, I've turned 23, and I've lived, or I'm about to turn 24. Excuse me. I'm about to turn 24 in a little less than 2 months. Wow, that's. They say, well, you're so young, you have so much life ahead of you. And it's funny because I'm about to turn 24, and I'm still so young, and I have so much life ahead of me. But also, it feels like 3 days ago that I was 18, turning 18. It feels like 3 days ago that I was moving out of my parents' house, but that was 6 years ago. So I might have a lot of time ahead of me, but I'm also getting a pretty clear picture about how fast time is moving, and it's moving really, really fast. But that's besides the point. Friendship is, I guess, the point that I'm trying to stick on right now. And friendship, I don't even know. I don't know. I think I'm looking too far into this dream, but I've lived, I was born in one town, then I moved to Portland in Oregon, and then I moved to Bend, Oregon, and then I moved to Medford, Oregon, and now I live in Eugene, Oregon. So I've had this constant state about once every 5 years of completely losing all of my friends, and then at the same time making all new friends. And I've never really been good, and I don't really know if anybody is that great at it. When you move away from people, you obviously the friends that you have, kind of the ones that don't really mean that much, fall away. The ones that you even thought meant a lot fall away because neither of you really put the effort into keeping that friendship alive. But the ones that you do, even though you are trying actively to keep that friendship alive and you both still care so much about each other, it's so much different. You maybe call each other every once in a while. God forbid you see each other every once in a while. And it's a whole different thing. So I've never really been good at keeping in contact with anybody anyways. I don't really use social media. I don't really use anything like that. So just outside of the whole having to tear down and rebuild friendships, and every time I move somewhere I got to figure out how to make all new friends and all new acquaintances, and figure out where the whole, where the new sub shop is, or where the new Thai food is, or something like that. Like, I don't really have the friends that I had back in the day, from the back when, I don't have those like childhood friends. I mean, the longest person that I've known was when I was 16. So that's 8 years. And, now that I say that, 8 years is a really long time, but that's in my perspective. I mean, I'm almost 24 now, so 8 years might not seem that long to somebody who's had a best friend since they were 8. Because to me, 8 years is a really long time. And that guy moved away 2 years ago, and I barely talk to him anymore. But he's still my best friend. But, I'm actually about to move in with one of my really good friends from Bend. So I knew him when I was 16, I guess. So I've known him for 8 years too. Now that I thought about it, maybe I knew my other. Either way, I'm about to move in with him. Funny enough, after 3 or 4 years of just seeing each other once, 4 times a year kind of thing, once every 3 months, or once every 6 months. Basically every time I go back to my hometown, well, I call it my hometown, that's because my parents live there. But every time I go back to the city that my parents live in, I go see him, and he's about to move in. But I'm so used to having to tear down and rebuild all these things. So like I don't even know if I have a real concept of what friends are. I live. What do you do? What is a friend? A friend is somebody that you hang out with. A friend is somebody that you confide in. I mean, I have that. I have people I confide in, and I have people that I love and care for, and all that stuff. But I don't drink and I don't smoke weed, and I feel like a lot of friendships are based around kind of having those as the icebreaker. Hey, you want to go get a beer? Hey, you want to come over and smoke some weed? I don't really have those, so I feel like that also kind of puts me at this weird disadvantage of trying to make the friends, kind of. But I do. I find friends. I find people that I love. I find people that I get to talk to, and I find, I lived in the last town I lived in. I lived there for 3 years, and by the time I left there, I had a whole community of people. I had somebody I could call each day and say, "Hey, what's up?" And then you move away, and none of those people kind of track. None of those people you find yourself calling every day. Because obviously, you live, however X amount of hours away, but you don't necessarily have that connection. And so, like, were those my friends, or were those just people I knew, people, the contacts? Were those just phone numbers in a phone? What were they, Because I don't call them anymore. I don't talk to them anymore. And I know a phone goes 2 ways. So, I mean, it's not only is it me that could be reaching out, it's also somebody, they could be reaching out to me. So if both parties aren't there, especially if both parties aren't there, then what is it? I don't know. It's kind of a silly thing, I guess, to look too far into. I mean, it's one of those things that I feel like we, when I did smoke pot, I feel like that's definitely one of the things that I would look super deep into and try to figure out. But nowadays, man, I think about it every once in a while. But that dream, man, to tie it all back together before I stopped talking about all this stuff, is that dream really started to make me feel like, what is a friend? And, what does friendship mean? Because I had this total scary, a nightmare, if you could call it that. It was more a suspense thriller. It wasn't necessarily like a scary movie. But I had a nightmare of one of my best friends trying to hurt me. Trying to cause me, harm. And I just don't know. I don't know what that means. But anyways, I think there's a lot of things that annoy. That doesn't necessarily annoy me. That just makes me try to be more introspective. But I think, I don't know. I'll tell you what does annoy me is I not drinking. I've drank black coffee my whole life. When I get a coffee, I like hot coffee. I don't like creamer. I don't like sugar. I don't like vanilla. I don't like 2 pumps this, extra whip, bring it to the top. I don't want it. I like black coffee. And honestly, I love the taste. I always have. When I was 13, I got my very first job being paid under the table to work at this shop, a bicycle shop. And the dudes there brewed like 3 pots of coffee a day. And from 7 in the morning till 4 o'clock in the afternoon, we were sipping down coffee, or whatever the hours were. I can't remember now, but we were sipping down coffee the whole day. And I was 13, and I wanted to be part of the guys. I was the youngest there. I was, a junior. I was 10, 15 years younger than everybody that worked there, and I wanted to be part of the guy. I was 13. I wanted to be accepted, all that kind of stuff. So I started drinking coffee, acting like I liked it. And I don't know if I necessarily ever really liked it, but then you continue, you get the next job, they drink coffee, and eventually then I fell in love with coffee. Now I can't go a day without coffee, and I'm not, but one of the things is, like, I say that, and a lot of people's first reaction is they're like, oh, so he's a coffee, and it's like, no, I'm not a coffee snob. I really could care less. I drink 7-Eleven black coffee. Like, if I'm out and I just want a cup of coffee, I go to 7-Eleven, wherever's closest. I'll go to an Albertsons, hit up the Starbucks. If that's not working, I'll go to a 7-Eleven. If that's not working, I go to a Dairy Mart. Anywhere that I can get a cup of coffee. Yeah, if I have the time, if I have some extra cash, to be honest, I'll go to, like, a nice coffee shop. I'll get, like, a pour over. But, like, even then, I'm so impatient. I don't like a pour over just because I have to wait 10 minutes for my cup of coffee, when usually they have some coffee brewed sitting there waiting for somebody to come get it. And I'm that guy. I'm the guy that will take whatever you got. But every time I go somewhere, I ask for black coffee. I ask, hi, how's it going? Good. Let me get a 16-ounce black coffee. Let me get a 24-ounce black coffee. And almost without a beat, want room for cream in there? It's like, no! That would negate the blackness of the coffee that I just ordered. It's like if I went into a burger shop and I said, hey, give me a cheeseburger and some fries, and you said, oh, great, you want some cheese on that burger? It's like, yes, I want some cheese. I want black coffee. I don't need room for cream. I don't want sugar. I don't want a vanilla punch. I want black coffee. I don't understand where it's like, I feel like people are so ingrained in this, like, customer servicing where nobody's even paying attention anymore. Everybody's just autopilot at this point. Everybody's just, hey, yeah, blah, blah, blah. This is what I say here. You say X, I say Y. You say Z, I say W, whatever. And I don't know why it annoys me so much. It's such a stupid thing to get annoyed about, but so many of these things start to annoy me. Oh! So many stupid things start to annoy me. I want black coffee. I don't need room for cream because I wanted black coffee. I want a cheeseburger, not whatever. I saw this. I was scrolling through Instagram the other day, and I saw this ad for these bamboo toothbrushes. Whoops, I accidentally hit my easy button. I don't know if that caught it on the mic. It's actually a great product. Listen, we waste so much stuff. Everybody is all up on their soapbox about how, these people are, big oil, the government, blah, 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 blah. Like, nobody gives a shit about the environment. Yet, every toothbrush you've been using since you were a kid is floating around in the Pacific Ocean. Every bottle, every plastic bottle that you go get when you're out in the town is still floating around somewhere, not biodegrading. You got, every detergent bottle you buy is a plastic, unrecyclable. People go to coffee shops and get their coffee from a paper cup that is it is biodegradable, but that's the point, is that we cut down all these trees to try to get these coffee cups, and people are like, the coffee cup will degrade, but it's like, yeah, that doesn't negate the fact that you had to take down a forest to get the coffee cup, and then you got a plastic lid on there that's not biodegradable, that just floats around in the Pacific Ocean or gets buried in Nevada. So I see these, back to the point, I see these bamboo toothbrush commercials on it. And immediately the very first thing is like, oh, everybody, we use, X amount of toothbrushes a year, and they're just floating around, and yeah, plastic is so terrible, and everybody's using all this plastic and nobody cares. And it's like, dude, you're trying to sell toothbrushes. You're trying to sell a product. You're trying to sell a product, and the marketing strategy for this type of for this ad that you put out on Instagram, you spent money to sponsor, is so terrible. You're basically attacking the consumer, telling them that they're a bad person because they've used plastic toothbrushes their whole life, and that the only way they can not be a bad person is if they come buy your toothbrush. Mind you, go on the website, it's $10 a toothbrush when I can go get a 4-pack of plastic toothbrushes for like $3. Mind you, on Amazon you can get like a 5-pack for like $4 or something, but the actual company that is promoting this, you go on their website, it's $10 a toothbrush. But the point is their ad was completely attacking people that use plastic toothbrushes instead of trying to. It's like, don't try to turn this one around on me. Don't come at me like I'm an asshole. You're the one making the product, so make your product. Make it better than the other companies do. Make it a more efficient product. Exploit the fact that it's better for the environment. Make it at a competitive price. Put it on a competitive market and try to sell your product. But don't like flip this one around on me like it's my fault that I am on a very fixed income trying to go to college to hopefully make some sort of money someday. And I need toothbrushes that aren't $10 a pop. Don't try to come at me like I'm the one that's causing all of this. It's the same. I don't know. It's such a stupid thing to get upset about, but it's the same thing as like everybody. I feel like I see it so much, and I want to stay away from everybody's because everybody is such a stupid word because everybody is nobody. Like if everybody was doing something, it's just not how it works. But I see so many people try to like make themselves feel good for doing certain things. And one of the big ones I see is like trying to help people. Like everybody wants to, sorry again about everybody, but I'll just give an example. I was at 7-Eleven and I was buying whatever, I don't remember. I was buying probably some snacks in plastic bags that were never going to biodegrade. But I was buying some stuff. I was at the register, and this lady walks in and immediately interrupts my conversation and my transaction with it. And she goes, "Do you know the homeless guy that sits out front?" Now, a little bit of backstory. There's a homeless guy. He sits in a wheelchair out front, always there. I don't know how he's always there, but every time I go to that place, he's always there. He doesn't panhandle. He doesn't do anything. He just chills there. Very nice guy. She said, "Hey, do you know that homeless guy outside?" And the guy behind the counter was kind of caught off cue, and so he's like, "Yeah, no, but like he's one of the harmless ones. Like, don't worry." And you know, he's super nice. And she's like, "Oh no, well, he said he's hungry, and I don't know when the next time he's gonna eat it. So I was wondering if that you knew if there was any. I was wondering if you knew what food he liked." And in my head, I just started having an aneurysm because what that lady basically just did, not basically, what that lady just did was she, in her own head, she physically asked this homeless guy, "Are you hungry?" And he said yes. Now, she couldn't be bothered with the fact to go ask him, "What would you like to eat? I'd like to buy you some food. What kind of food do you like?" Instead, she wants to make this big old spectacle and come into in a very loud voice, trying to show everybody that, "Oh, well, I'm the person that's going to buy him some food. I'm the person that's going to do, look at me. I'm the better person here. I'm the best out of all of us because I want to help this homeless guy." When in reality, the only thing you did was you tried to make yourself feel better about helping somebody, and then you tried to virtue signal over everybody, trying to make everybody else feel bad because they're not as great as you are. Which to me, it was infuriating. And I know that her heart was probably in the right in the right place. But when you look at it, when I heard a great quote one time, and it was like, if you do something nice, or if you do something at all in expectation of something, that's not charity, that is a business transaction. And to me, that's kind of what this was in my head. It was more of a chance for her to get to pat herself on the back and get to show everybody that she was high and mighty. But what it really made me sad was because she had the time out of her day to ask if he was hungry, but she didn't have the time in her day to talk to him and say, hey, how's it going? What kind of food would you like? Instead, she comes in a big loud voice in front of a big crowd and asks the tender or the cashier was so caught off guard by the question, because what a stupid question to ask somebody. Do you know what kind of food he likes? How would he know what kind of? They're not dating. They're not pals. They don't hang out a bunch. But why don't you go ask the guy that you're buying food for? Because he's a human being. He has dreams just like my stupid dreams. I'm sure he has a best friend somewhere. And I'm sure he has a favorite food. And I'm sure he has his favorite chocolate-covered whatever in 7-Eleven that he would have loved to have. Maybe he wanted a cup of coffee. Maybe he wanted a sandwich. Who knows? But you didn't take the time to ask him. All you did was ask to see if he was hungry, and then took it upon yourself to show everybody else that you were going to help somebody. And and again, I think her heart was in the right place, but I think that's what we get. That's kind of where it ties around with, the black coffee and room for cream, or the bamboo toothbrush, is that we're also desensitized. Not all of us, but there's a large portion is so desensitized to certain things that we say things to make ourselves feel high and mighty and feel good, like we're changing the status quo. But, a lot of the times we fall short. And I think that I have a problem noticing that and getting too upset about things like that. But It's that autopilot. It's that thing where she's going, I'm going to do something nice. But that she's on autopilot. She's thinking, I'm going to do something nice. But subconsciously, the only reason she's doing that is because she wants some sort of gratification. Not needs, but she wants some sort of gratification for that. And again, that goes back to it. That's not charity. You're not doing something good for the sake of doing it. You're looking for some sort of validation that you're doing something good. And that's a business transaction. If you're looking for a validation that you're doing something, then you're not doing it out of the kindness of your heart. You're not doing it as a selfish reason. I heard a quote that truly changed my life, and I heard it years ago, but it was that one man could change the world if that man was willing to accept zero of the credit. And that touched something in me really hard, or really deep, or whatever. It meant a lot to me, because it truly is. If you see somebody in line that their card keeps getting declined, and they're at a sub shop and somebody's card keeps getting declined, and the sandwich is already there, they're panicking, obviously, because they don't have any money apparently to buy this sandwich that was just good. And you from behind say, hey, I got some extra cash, let me pay for you. Don't go home and parade that around. Don't go home and guess what I did today? Because I don't know, man. I could be totally wrong. I could be totally wrong, because I have no idea what people are thinking. It could be a complete selfless act without having to tell anybody. But to me, I don't think it's pertinent information. I think that you did something nice, and I think the whole pay it forward thing is really in play here. If I ever do something nice, I do tell somebody, please pay it forward. Like, do something nice for somebody else when you have the means to do it. Because I'm doing this because I want to help you. I'm not doing this because I want to help myself get some sort of attention or some sort of or feel some sort of grandiosity over somebody because I did something good. You shouldn't look. I think that we shouldn't look at things like that as doing something good. I don't think that if that person that paid for somebody's sub because they didn't have something, I don't see that as doing something good. I see that as doing something. I think that you just did something. I think that's the right thing to do. If you have extra cash, buy that person a sub because that makes their day easier. That makes their day better. And next time they might do something good for somebody else, but you just did something. Because as soon as you put the weight on that I did something good, then that puts some sort of weight on the thing that you did. That gives it some sort of price tag. And being good to one another, being kind to one another, doing things that help one another shouldn't have a price tag. It shouldn't be a commodity. It shouldn't have any sort of value in that right. It should be that you did something for somebody because that's what you do. That's what we do, is we help people. And we make sure that your fellow man is okay. Your fellow woman is taken care of. Your fellow man can eat. I don't mean to use men and women, but the fellow person that you're helping is taken care of. Because as soon as we can move past this putting a price tag on people, a price tag on good deeds, that we can move into a world where we look at each other is brothers and sisters. We look at each other as saying, like, I'm going to make sure that you eat today, not because I'm trying to make myself feel good. And there's so much science behind it, and we all love to Google over the Google, we all love to praise the sciences, and we say, well, actually being charitable, doing things for other people actually makes you feel better. So the more you do for other people, the better you'll feel. And it's like, there's totally validity to that. Sure, there's, the brain scans and all that stuff that shows that is a reality. But when we continuously speak about that and we continually validate that idea that you should do good for others to make you feel better, that's putting a price tag on something. That's putting weight on something that doesn't deserve weight, because you're just doing something. You're not doing something to get something in return. That's not charity. That's a business transaction. You should be doing something because it is good. I guess that's all I got to say about that. That was kind of a long ramble, and maybe it made a lot of sense. Maybe it didn't make a lot of sense. Maybe you disagree. Maybe you found something in there. Listen, I'm just talking, and this is the first episode of the podcast that I've created. Toe to Toe is going to be a somewhat regular podcast where it's just this. It's just me speaking about a dream that I had last night, or that or talking about something like this. I'm not gonna. I don't want to isolate any one way of thinking, but I think for me this is just a good way to get out all the stuff that I think about all the time. And if you enjoy listening to it, come back. There's, like I said, it's going to be a somewhat regular thing. As far as right now, I got a lot going on. I'm not going to I'm not going to do X, Y, I'm not going to say once a week on a Thursday, going to be uploaded. It's just not conducive to my schedule right now, but this is a new thing. Feels good. I've been talking for about 40 minutes now, and I can already say that I feel good. I feel good getting all this off my chest. I feel good saying this, especially on a platform where I'm just sitting in a chair right now talking to a microphone. I don't have to worry about how it's being perceived, because it's going to be perceived in a plethora of ways. But I feel like when we talk to people, a lot of the time it comes out edited. I feel like it's hard these days to have a conversation where you get your full point out and stick to that point to explore that point. Now, conversations are great. I think that an opinion is complete crap. I don't think that anybody should necessarily have an opinion. I think that you should have insight on a problem, and opinion is a good word, but no locked in opinions. Nobody should ever be, this is right and this is how it is and this is never. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that we should go into conversations and stick to our guns, but what I'm saying is that what I feel throughout recording this is I feel like a good sense of I'm getting to work out my thoughts without having to judge the facial expression of somebody else that's interpreting the things I'm saying, and then maybe having to reword things because you feel like it's being taken the wrong way, or you feel scared that they're gonna see you in a different light. Because I think we deal with that a lot, is when people see us in a different way. We all want to be perceived a certain way. We all have a certain idea of who we want to be, and that's what keeps us going. Is we want to, everybody wants to be better than the person that they were the day before. We all want to keep growing. I mean, the biggest thing in society is that we want the one thing that we all share is that everybody just wants to make friends and be accepted. My friend Jeff Moore taught me that, and as soon as he said that, it made so much sense to me, because that's true. Like, that's all we want to do. And it's such a beautiful thing when you think about that. Everybody across the world has that same objective, is that we all just want to we all want to make friends and we all want to be accepted. But I think that can sometimes interfere with a conversation, that interfere with some sort of thinking out a problem, or some sort of sticking with an idea to try to track down a deeper meaning to it. Because I think that as soon as you say something like I said about the lady at the coffee shop, or at the 7-Eleven, there's a million reasons that she did what she did. There's a million reasons that what happened. And I'm not saying that what she did was terrible. I'm not saying that. Because what she did was, at the end of the day, she helped somebody. And by helping somebody, she made her community better. And I want that to be very clear, is how I feel about that, is she definitely helped somebody and it did make her community better. But what I use that example for is a jumping off point to something that I see wrong. Maybe wrong is the wrong word. Something that I struggle with when I think about, and something that I personally want to talk about, and I personally want to explore more. Because, I don't know, I think that those stupid little things bother me a lot. And when they do bother me, I like to think about them. But I think that sometimes when you have a conversation, if I were to bring this conversation to, say, person X, that when I'm explaining that there's the back and forth. That's what every good conversation has. But that can, but somebody can take that example too literally. Somebody can take that example and start trying to say, well, maybe she was doing it because of this. Maybe she was doing that because of this. And, it's probably some on my fault that I'm not explaining my position very clearly, is that it's not necessarily about that lady. It's about what I see in the world as this desensitization that we can tie back into the plastic. We can tie back into the bamboo toothbrush. We can tie back into, the black coffee. Something super simple, something that it shows this autopilot that we're on, this desensitization that we're on, this path. And so I think that this podcast is nice. I think that I can tell you that recording this first episode has been nice. So it's a good way to think a problem out for myself. And maybe that's selfish, but to me it makes a lot of sense. So anyways, if you enjoyed what you heard, come back. Somewhat regularly, hopefully once a week if I can make that happen. But yeah, if you do, this is Toe to Toe. Thanks for coming by. Thanks for listening. Have a good week.